This is VCC Connection. My name is Raye, and I'm so glad you joined me today. I have a question again for you. Are you an influencer? Are you? I had to look it up in the dictionary to see what the word actually means in today's vernacular. And an influencer is someone who's on social media and their whole thing is to change your mind. Make you buy something. Maybe change your mind on the political field. Or anything. Anything. And they have thousands, millions of followers, and they listen to them, and they start thinking differently, and they start maybe acting differently because of what this person on social media is saying. And I got thinking about that, and I thought, am I an influencer? Do I know an influencer who is not our culture's influencer, but an influencer for God? Or we can say, the pastor, he preaches, or the teacher, Bible study teacher, or, those people who are prophetic or who pray. Well, I want to give you two examples of what I consider influencers. And they're in my family, so I get to boast a little bit here. And the first one is my daughter. She works for a insurance company. And she's on this team, and things can get a little hairy of what's going on, problems, conflicts. And one day, one of the men on her team came to her, and he said, I have been observing you, just in your work, and I've listened to you. And I've seen how you are consistent and you do your very best. And you speak well. You speak your mind, but you speak well. And you are solid through anything that's going on around us. And he said to her, I was going to quit. I was going to throw in the towel and say, I have had enough of this. But then I looked at you and saw how you handled yourself. And I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to do my very best because you've been my example. She told me this, and I went, whoa, Margaret, that's awesome. One, compliment to you, but how you've changed that man's outlook on his job. Who knows? Maybe someday she'll be able to tell him about Jesus if he doesn't know him. I don't know. That was an influencer. The second one is really close to my daughter. It's her husband. And he works for a large company down in the downtown Indianapolis area. And I assume that members of his team go out to eat for lunch once in a while. And one day, one of his team members came to him and said, it's all your fault. It is all your fault. And Brian said, what? What are you talking about, my fault? And the gentleman said, I've watched you when we go out. I've watched what you do when those homeless people come up to you and say, can I have a couple bucks for some food or coffee or something? I've watched how you take them and you buy them a meal. You just don't throw money at them or ignore them. You take them without judgment, without criticalness, without looking down on them or anything. You just take them and get them a meal. And it's all your fault, he said. Because now I'm doing the same thing. The man changed. his outlook on the homeless. He changed his outlook upon how important his own money was, or time. And more than that, he said to Brian, my wife has said, you're the biggest influence in my life because she sees a change in me since we've worked together. My son-in-law is an influencer. And maybe one day he'll tell this man about Jesus. Are you an influencer? Brian and Maggie, they didn't do anything extraordinary. They lived their lives. They walked with Jesus and lived their lives. Margaret doing her best in her work, which there's nothing else in her but to do her best. And Brian reaching out to those who don't have, because he has, and he's willing to give it away. Time, money, awareness of someone who would be invisible to others. Are you an influencer? Scripture says we have a cloud of witnesses about us, and so we should lay aside that which hinders us. We read that and we usually think of those in the chapter before of the people of faith who did extraordinary things and they're watching us. But no, it's the people right around us, our kids, our siblings, our next door neighbors. They're watching us. How are you living? How are you speaking that will influence them to change their behavior, to change their thinking, and open the door to share Jesus over the backyard fence? You never know. We had a neighbor come out one day and sort of grab Bob and say, hey, my dog is really, really sick. Will you pray for him? I know you pray. Pray for my dog. And Bob did. How did she know that? We don't go around praying. We don't stand in our yard and pray. We don't grab people on the street and pray. We just live our lives. But somehow she knew that we believed in God and we prayed to him and she came to us. She was watching us. So I encourage you this week, be an influencer. Live your life walking with Jesus so that others see it and are changed. And maybe you'll be changed too when you know that. Isn't that what God's after? Having us all change into the image of Jesus. So, my beloveds, have a good week influencing, and I'll see you next time.